Thank you very much for joining this workshop. We will start now with the presentation. Like I was saying before, I decided to introduce you to qGis. It is a very common GIS software. And the reason behind is that qGis is free, is open source. Everyone can have it, everyone can download it. And it has many languages, Arabic, Turkish, and many other languages. And it runs on all the operation system, Windows, Mac, and Linux. That's why it's very versatile. And additionally, there is plenty of plugins, and easy to find those plugins, and also easy to produce plugins. And there is a big community behind qGis. In case you have any trouble, you will find a solution online on the qGis community. So when you download the qGis, you will find the link everywhere on Google. You download it, you install it. The first thing that you have to do is to put your language, your favorite language. It's very easy. You go on setting, you go on option, and then general and language. And you will see here are the language currently available, many languages. So I doubt that you will have any problem to understand the software. Just remind you that when you change the language, in order to activate the language, you have to quit qGis and restart qGis. And then all the menu, everything will be on your language. When you open qGis the first time, you will have this presentation. On the top, you will find the menu on the toolbar. You might have many toolbars that you are not using at the beginning, so you can hide or activate the toolbar. Very simple on view and toolbar, and then you just activate the toolbar that you need for the beginning. Then you have on the left side the panels. Even here, you have many types of panels that you can hide or activate the same way. View and panels, you choose whatever you want to see. I think at the beginning, it's important to have at least two panels. One of the browser, which shows you where your files are saved. And the second one is the panel of the layers that shows the layers that you have on your drawing, on your map. Then you have the big center of the screen is the area where you have the map, where you can draw your map or display your map. And on the bottom, you have the status bar. It's a very simple and user-friendly software. At the very beginning, like usually in the GIS world, you should adapt the software on your location. And this means you should always work on the metric projection if you intend especially to work on small area on the refugee site, for example, and if you intend to jump between CAD and GIS and GIS and CAD. Because like I was telling many times already, CAD drawing can be displayed in GIS and vice versa only if the GIS software is set up on metric projection. In case for some of you don't know exactly what is a projection and why you should use metric projection towards geographic projection, in my YouTube channel, you will have a short tutorial, 4 minutes long tutorial that show and explain the difference between the two projections and how to choose the right projection for your location. And even that, to change the projection, you go on setting, on option, and then you have CRS, and here you choose your projection. For Syria, it is usually UTM zone 37 north. And then you click OK, and you can use it as a default projection if you are always in Syria. Of course, if you are roaming around the world, you have to adapt the projection every time. And another thing is that to say that if you are displaying big maps, it means maps that are covering a big area, more than Syria, let's say all Middle East or the world, then you cannot use the metric projection, but you should use another type of projection that will be fine for all the world. And the best one is the geographic coordination system Pseudo Mercator, in case you want to display the whole world and you work on the whole world, depend on the type of maps. But for site planner, usually we limit our work around our site, not on the world, for the whole world. And you can see when you choose the projection, you have on the small screen here, the area that is covered by this chosen projection. Here you have the pseudo Mercator projection that covers all the world. And here you have the UTM zone 37 North that just covers this area, which includes as well Syria. But of course, if you are in South America, it's totally another projection. Okay, when you start, your screen will be empty, of course. And if you don't have any shapefile at the very beginning to start with, you can just type world here, and then the world will appear. And then you can zoom in on your location and start to see, to be georeferenced. But sometimes it's not necessary. If you have a GPS, you might import the GPS point directly into qGis, but we will see how to do it the next time. Then, by default, you have an OpenStreetMap as in your qGis, and you can find it here under the browser, XYZ tiles, OpenStreetMap. Here you can zoom in and click on OpenStreetMap, and then you will have as a background already a background map that can help you already to identify your location. Additionally, there is another plugin which is very important. We have there is a tutorial about that as well in my channel that is called the Quick Map Service. It's a plugin that you can easily install. Look at the tutorial, and through this plugin you have all these type of background maps, including Bing Maps, which is very good, Google Maps, which is very good, OpenStreetMap, which is also very good, and Yandex Maps. Those are background maps that you can use always as a background on your drawing. And sometimes, and you have also several satellite images on this selection. Just play around, browse around this selection, and you will see all what you have. Sometimes it's very important to have several different background maps, because this gives you more information about the surrounding of your site. And also they are taken on different time of the day, of the year. So you might see eventually when it's dry or not dry, and if there is a river or no river, things like that. Okay, like I was saying, if you need to install this plugin, Quick Map Service, and look in my tutorial, you will find the tutorial 3 minutes long, how to install Quick Map Service on qGis. Then you have seen, now we have already doing like that, 2 layers. The first layer was taken by the default OpenStreetMap, and the second one, it was taken by the plugin, and the 2 layers are displayed here. You can switch the location of the layer, and then just by taking the layer and dragging it down, and then you will see the first or the second layer appearing. And whenever you start to work, don't forget as well to save your file, because if for some reason the computer crack, you will lose all the information. Maybe you just want tips. If you want a layer to be visible, just click on the layer, right click on it, and click on move to the top, and then the layer will be visible on the top. And then, of course, when you save it, you will have here on the upper right the name of your file. In that case, I call it my first project. So now we just have, let's say, the background map around Syria, and that's all what you have so far, and we didn't do anything. Now, when you close totally qGis and you reopen it, you will see that you will have this mask with the recent projects. The new one will be on the top, but this is very useful because then you will find your project on a very quick. Just click on it and you will be back where you have quit last time. And if you don't know exactly where it was anymore, you can still browse in the browser at the location where the project has been saved. Okay, let's go back to the project and let's start to create some layer. I just went somewhere randomly in Syria, west, I think it's east of Syria where I was, and I just want to create simple layer. At the very beginning, for this time, I will create a temporary layer. And for that, you have to click on this icon, and then this menu will appear, new temporary scratch layer. And this will appear. What you have to give is the name of the layer. And the selection of the name of the layer is important because first you have to recognize it. And second, this name that you select will be as well automatically in the automatic legend. So if you write bullshit on the name of the layer, you will have the same bullshit on the legend. So it makes more sense to put a name that makes sense. Like pond, for example, it makes sense. But if you write one, for example, it doesn't make sense. It will not help you to find the layer. And then when you create a new layer, you have to tell the software what type of layer do you want to create. In the GIS world, sorry, I go back, we have three types of layer: point layer, line layer, and polygon layer. Since I want to create a layer which will display the points, I will take a polygon, because points is a classical polygon. There is a surface and a perimeter. So I click, like I was saying, on temporary layer, and this is temporary. It means if you don't save it, it will be lost. But sometimes it makes sense to work on temporary layer and then to save it. But later we will also see how to work on the permanent layer straight away. So I choose, like I was telling, a polygon. I give the name pond. And like I was telling, we have three types of layer: point, line, and polygon. In QuantumGIS, generally in the GIS, you cannot mix. You cannot have a layer including point, line, and polygon at the same time. It's impossible. The system will not accept it. But what you can do, you can convert a line layer into a polygon, or a point layer into line layer, and things like that. But with this, we can see maybe later. And yes, so you write point, you click OK. You be sure that the projection is correct. And then you will see on the browser layers, a new layer will appear, which is called pond. And you see on this icon, on this chip here, that the layer is a draft layer and not a permanent layer. And you see here, if you look carefully, you have a pen close to the pond. And this means that the layer is open and ready to editing. The editing mode is on. If you don't have a pen, it means you cannot change it. So whenever you want to make any change on this layer, you have to select it and you have to put the editing mode on. And how to put the editing mode on the bar, on the icon bar, you have the pen here, which is called toggle editing. You click on it, then it is on. You click on it again, and then it is off. Always, if you make any change, it must be on. Okay, now we are here. We have created our new layer. Editing mode is on because I see the small pen. And then I can start to draw my layer, my features. What I do, I make it on, and then I take this icon here, which is called Add Polygon Features, and I start to draw, for example, around here the pond. Every click that you do, it will create a point, which will be one reference point of the boundary of your polygon. If you do a mistake, just click del, and if you right click at the end of your drawing, the polygon will be closed. You can add as many polygons as you want, and you can after change the shape. If you do a mistake or the polygon is too small or too big, you can change the shape of your polygon just on clicking this icon, which is called vertex tool. And then you will see this situation. Those are all the points that you have done. And you can just take one of the points and drag it somewhere, delete it. If you click on the middle, you can just add one point and move it. So you can reshape manually your polygon as you wish. It's at the beginning, it might be a little bit not handy, but after a while, you will see that the system is very easy and you get used very quick on that. And again, once your polygon is done, you click again on the editing mode and it is saved. Good. Now, don't forget that we have still a temporary scratch layer. If you are happy with that and you want to convert your temporary layer, just click on the icons on the chip, and then this will be saved. This mask will open. It will ask you in which format you would like to save. Usually, we save it in shapefile, and then it will also ask you where you want to save, and you should be clear where you want to save all your shapefile. Sorry, is there a question?
No. He forgot the mic open. Okay.
Okay. Fine. And then once you have chosen the type of file that you want to use for saving and the location, you just say OK, and the layer from a temporary layer has been converted into a permanent layer. Now it's time to shape, to beautificate your layer. For example, here we have a pond. We can change the color of the pond. You have several ways to change the display, the layout, or the looking of your layer. You can, for example, just click on this icon here, click on F7, or click twice on the layer. Then this mask will be open, and just look for symbology. Once you have this mask open, you will see here, as default, we have a single symbol here. That's the most simple layout that you can, presentation. Here you can just change the color. You can put the transparency if you want, or you can use even preset template. Just click on it and apply, and it will change. If you want more complex style changes, just click on simple fill, and you will have many more options. You can change as well the stroke line, the border line. You can do it. I mean, you have to play around with that, because you can really do a lot of changes on your style. The transparency, you can choose your color, you can pick a color, you can fill it, but just for the style, we would have spent half an hour to see all the possible style that you can use. But it's good for you to open it and to play around it a bit until you find what you like. And then as well, you can put the label on your object. If you click on this icon here, before we were up, now we are here, then you will have this mask. You can write a name here, like for example, pond. Please don't forget to put the two accent. If you put pond or whatever you like, every layer, every object will receive the name pond, independently of the location and of the number. But later we will see how you can nominate each single, let's say, pond differently. Then, of course, here you can change, like in Word document, the style of your letters. You can do it bold, you can do it stroke, you can change the font, the size, and the color. Maybe interesting is this one, the buffer. This is interesting because usually when you color your element and you put a buffer, then you have this effect, for example, white around the name, and then it is better visible on the map. And again, here you have many options. Also here, the location, you can put it in the middle, you can put it outside, inside, whatever. Again, here you have to play around and see all the options that the styling of the label have. It's very easy, just play around and you will see how it works. And again, once you are happy, you save it with the editing tool. But now we have to add attribute to this layer. If you just click F6 or right click on an open attribute table or use this icon, you will see that you have one pond with no information. It's just one location. You don't see anything else than this green square. Why? Because we didn't give any information to the pond. And but before giving information to the pond, we add a second one. I add the second one on the same way, so that, again, it's easier and better understanding. I add this pond here, and now I see, if I go back to the attribute table, I have two elements, but again, without any information, because I didn't give any information. So now I want to add information to my elements, and you do it first, editing on, and then you take this icon, which is add new field. When you click on this icon, you will have mask, and they will ask you what kind of information would you like to add, and you have few type of information. You can add numbers 1, 2, 3, decimal number 1,345. You can add text or date or date and time. This you have to define in advance. So when you add information, you have to know what you want to add. So let's assume now that we add text. When you click on text, you can give the maximal length of your text, or if you leave it on 0, the maximal length of your text will be adjusted automatically. So I leave it like that. And now you will see, after clicking OK, you will see that a new column has been created with the name of name. I named this column name because I want to give the name of the pond. So this is the name here, but the column is empty so far. And now I can start to write the name. I want to call this pond A, and I want to call this pond B. So if you take the selection tool, which is this one, you click on the pond, then you will see that automatically the pond is going to be selected, and then on the information, this will be blue. It means this line is being selected. So if you type here pond A, automatically this pond receives the information, the name pond A. You click here, this one will be blue. You write pond B, and automatically this pond receives the information, the name point B. Okay, now I want to display the single information to each of those two ponds. So what I do, I go again to layer styling. Here I click on this icon ABC, and then single label, and I have two columns to choose. The ID, which is empty. If I go back, let me see, you see the ID is this one, and the second one is this one. I choose the column name, and then again here I can choose how I want to display the text, the font of the text, the size of the text, the color of the text, and you name it. And then I will have displayed by each point the right name, point A, point B, like that. If I want to add a new point, for example, just go again on the editing tool, add new feature, and this time the column, this mask will appear, and this time I will have the ID, which is standard and default, and my name, because previously I have included this column called name, and here I can straight away type the name of the point C, so that it will be easier to name all the elements of your layer. Now let's have a look. Okay, then we save, editing off with the pen, we save it, and then it is saved on the location that you have chosen before. And let's have a look what it saves. If you see, I have saved six not layers, six files, and all the 6 files belongs together. The location is included, the projection is included, and if for any case you want to move these files somewhere, you have to move all the 6 together, and you cannot change the name because they are linked together. So you have to consider the 6 files as a unique file, which is the characteristic of your pond. But if you close the software and you open a new qGis and you open your pond shape file, which should be this one, pond shape, you will see you lose the style, because we didn't save the style. If you are really happy with the style that you have developed, you have to save the style, and you do it on the button, so under style, you click on save style as default. So next time when you open this shapefile, the style will be automatically added to your new, let's say, project. And here, oh, I lost one part. Sorry for that. Okay, and now I did an experiment. I closed the qGis. I open it, a new empty project, untitled project. With this icon, open data source, I just want to open the shapefile of the pond that I have created. This mask appears, vector, and then you choose pond shape. You click OK and add, and you see I have opened just the pond, including the style. If I wouldn't have saved the style as default, it would be yes there, but not with the style, only the location. And now if you look at the difference, these are the 6 files that I have generated without the style, and here are the 7 files which in this file additional style include as well the style. So in that case, this has to be considered altogether as a single shape or a single shape file. So if someone asks you, please share the shape file of your location, then you should share all the at least 6, if not 7 files. Okay, now let's create a new shapefile. This time we create a line layer. Line layer, for example, are good for road, for pipes. Yes. So what to do? You click on this icon, which is the new shapefile layer. which is not temporary. Temporary, it was the chip here. This is permanent. You can later decide if you prefer to work with permanent or temporary shapefile. Then what you do first, you click on this icon and you choose the location where you want to save. Normally, by default, it will be the same location as the previous shapefile, but you might change it. Then here you have to select a line shapefile. It's not shape, but line. And here you can add, if you want, straight away all the column. In this case, I add a new column. I call it type, and then I click add. And then I add a new column. I call it length in that case, and not name. And then okay. And then you see now here a new shapefile has been created and displayed on the layers window. Again, the same process. You toggled on, editing on with the pen, this one. Here you add align features. You cannot add a shape because it's a line file, a line layer, and you start to draw. Important to know by layers is this snapping option. Sometimes, especially if you do road with lines, it's very important to have the snapping option on so that you can link and connect all the roads together and you don't have gaps between the roads. As well, if you do for pipes, keep the snapping option on so that automatically one line will connect to the other one. So now you start to draw your line. Wait a second. Okay, you start to draw your line. And since we speak about road, you draw the line. I don't know why it's okay. You draw the line and then you have to give the information, for example, the name of the road and the type of the road, for example. Let's say the name is clear, just one name, but the type, it could be paved, not paved, it could be gravel, it could be whatever. And why I do that? Because, okay. I do that because then when you want to display the road, you will have another option. You can display the road based on the category. I was saying that I put the type of the road, and each time when I draw a road, I write the type, so paved, for example, and displaying the symbology with the category, you will have automatically, clicking on classify, the 3 types of road. For this case, I have the path, I have the paved road, and I have the unpaved road. By default, with 3 different symbols. That you can change. You can just click on any of this symbol and change it like you want. You can have it bigger. You can really change as much as you want this symbol. And again, these symbols are going to be displayed automatically on your legend when we do the layout. For example, for paved road, I can take this symbol, but there are many other symbols. You have to play around. And then I might have something like that. For example, for the paved road, this one, for the unpaved road, this one, and for the path, this one. Just like that. It's an example. And then, of course, you can do the same for the labeling. You click on layer property, label. Again, here you have to choose which column do you want to use for the labeling. In that case, I want to use the name column. And then, like before, you can choose the text, size, text, font, text color. But for the road, for example, it's very important to choose where I want to place the label. In this case, I wanted to place the label curved along the road. So I have automatically here road number 1, road number 2. And then you click apply. again, here for the labeling and for the location, you have many options. The best you try and you play around with that. And then again, if you are happy with your layout, with your style, you save it as default. So next time when you open this shapefile, the layout, the style is going to be included in your new project. And now let's create another layer. It's a point layer this time. Point are good, for example, for water points, for lamps, street lamps, like in my example, for quote, for elevation points, for pumps, for many other items. But a point is just one point. It has just the coordinates and the elevation. So again here, you click on new shape layer. Again, it's not temporary. Otherwise, I would have clicked here. This time, again, you select the location. That should be fine without doing any changes. You choose point in this time. You check that the projection is good. And here again, you can add straight away all the column that you want. For example, I want here to put street lights, and I want to put the brand of the street lights. Or I could put the NGOs that install the street lights. I could put if it's working or not working, or the capacity, whatever. Whenever column you add, you have to define what type of information you want to include. So I start to draw my lights, editing on. I click on add features, should be point feature, sorry. And then I start to draw. Again here, by each point, it will ask me what kind of brand it is, which NGOs did the work, whatever, depending on the column that I have added. And this is important because this one also you can display later by categorized. So we choose we want to display the lamps by category based on the column type. And then here we have, for example, two types of lamps, lithium lamps and gigalumi. I added it manually before. Clicking on classify, and then automatically you will have here by default two different icons that you can change as you wish. For example, like that, gigalumi these icons and lithium this icon. But again, you can change the style as much as you want. And then it would look like that. One type of lamp, this icon, and one type of light, this icon. And this icon will automatically as well appear later on the legend. Okay, now resumed, we have added three types of layer: shape layer, line layer, the roads, and point layer. In a JS document, you can add as many layers as you want. Each layer can have as many information as you want. You can imagine, for example, a refugee site that you have a layer for the tents. It's a shape layer. You can add to each tent the name of the owner of the tent, the number of the children, the number of the women, the elderly, let's say the people with the disability, and you can add as many information as you want. And this is very helpful in the future if you want to do thematic maps. Doing like that, you can filter out, let's say, all the tents with elderly, and automatically a map can be generated. Or you can filter out a map with all the children below 11, so that you know exactly where all the children are placed in your site. And this is a good information for education cluster, so that they know where best to put the school, for example, where you have the highest concentration of children. You can even add the location of the crimes, and then maybe you can add you can, if you have in each tent, in each shelter, the tribe, then maybe you can link the crime to the tribe, something like that. You can really start to make map analysis, but it's not the topic of this presentation. But this I want to say that this is very different than AutoCAD, because AutoCAD helps you to draw precisely, but will not help you to make any type of analysis, while GIS will help you to display based on the information that have each icon, each element of your map. And GIS helps you to do map analysis, thematic maps much better than AutoCAD. That's why it's very important to be able to link AutoCAD on GIS, so that you can draw precisely in AutoCAD, import it in GIS, and start to make the map analysis. Now that we have our simple map with our 3 layers, we can start to print the map. And you have principally 2 types of printing. You just can export on project and export the image. And this is useful if you have a report and you want to include the image on your report, that you just need the image, nothing else, but it's also relatively poor. In the best cases, you do a proper map, and a proper map means with title, legend, and everything. But you have to be clear that if you do a proper map, if you do a print layout, you cannot change anymore, let's say, the icon on the print layout. The icon, you have to change it on your map like we have done before, not on the print layout. So when you want to make a print layout, you go on project, export, and no, sorry, next slide. You go to project, new print layout, or you can click on this icon directly. And then you will have first this mask, which will ask you, how do you want to name your layout? One map can have several layouts. It's actually not very clever to do several layouts on one map, because when you change something on the main map, then the layout also will change. So what I advise you to do, for each type of layout, you make a new file, so it will make your life easier at the end. But fine, you create the print layout, you give the name of the layout, you click OK, and this mask will appear. And you have on the center the page. You can compare this page as a page, not normal page. And the first thing that you have to do is to define the size of your paper. You might print on E4, E3, but if you have a plotter, you might even print on E1. But this is very important, because the size of the icon depends a lot on the size of your paper. If you, or even the title, if you write a title on size number 14, for example, and you have a huge A1 page, the title will be very, very small. But if you print on A4 and your title will be 14 pixels, maybe it will be fine. So that's why it's important at the very beginning to define the size of your paper, usually A4 or A3 if you have a big printer. You right-click on this area, and you will get this mask, page properties. And here you choose the size of your page. And as well, you choose if it's landscape or portrait. This as well depends on your map. If it's more adequate to landscape, you choose landscape, otherwise portrait. Then, before starting to do the layout, you have to think really what you want to put all on your layout. Typically, a good map contains following information: the title, and the title must be complete. Many times during my experience, I've seen that the site planner just write Azrim site, and that's it, which is fine if you are in Syria, because everyone might know Azrim site. But since we are working mainly with the UN, we know that our our maps, my land, my finish in Geneva. And I tell you, in Geneva, no one knows where is Azrim. That's why it's important, if you put a title, that you put the name of the site, the governorate, and the country. Then even the people in Geneva will understand where is your map. Then, of course, you need to put the map, and if necessary, even an overview map. If I put just the Azrim site in the middle of Syria, it will be very difficult to understand where it is in Syria. But if I have on the small corner somewhere an overview map, which can be automatically generated, we can see later, it's much easier to understand where we are, especially in war area. So I know that we are close to Turkey, close to the border, to the fighting line. It's very important, in my opinion, to put an overview map. Then, very important as well, to put the logo of your organization always. I want to know that Maram has done this map and not Watan. Then a date, also because date is important, because things developed very quickly in fragile situation, in fragile context. So this date is important. It has been done today and tomorrow it might be different. The legend, which is going to be automatically generated. We will see later how. Then the scale bar, also it's important. So we have an idea about the dimensions. This scale bar is also automatically generated. The north arrow, usually the north arrow is always vertical up, but for some reason you might have it different. So you put the north arrow, but I advise you to keep it always on the vertical up. And then what I usually like, information about your map, about your size, because it's important if you present a size that you say to the people how big it is, how many shelter it might contain your site, how many people it might contain, how many water point, who is going to work there, many information on a bullet point format, so that the person who take your map in the end will have straight away an idea about the situation. Don't write long text, just dot points. And of course, if you think that you have done a good job, put also your name on the map and the contact. Why? Because I might receive the map, I might have some question, I might want a copy of it, I might want to give you some compliments on that, so I might contact you. Okay, I know already that through the logo, the organization who did the map, but it's nice also to have the contact of the person who did the map, because this person knows best the situation usually. So let's start with that. So first of all, we will insert the map. Before we have organized the map, we have done the map. It was not a good map, I admit. It was just for showing purpose. So you click on this icon, add a new map to the layout, and you just drag or draw the map inside. Exactly what you have on the other window will appear here. If you have yellow icons, the icons will be yellow. If you have blue icons, the icon will be blue. Exactly what you have drawn before will appear here. And the scale can be changed. You can just click on this icon here. You can move around. With the wheel of the mouse, you can zoom in, zoom out. You can positioning your map properly. You can do a lot of things. Play around with that. You will have the scale, but don't put this scale on the map, because this is very complicated. So that's how we have the map. And here automatically we will see in this table that one layer already, let's say one item already appeared. Map number 1 is called. Then once we have located our map like we want, it's important to lock the map. So you go under properties and you lock the layers and you lock the style. So whatever you change on the other side, it will not be changed on the layout. It's important because you might work with several different style in the same layout. So you lock both of the layers and then the style, and you continue. Now we want to introduce a background map. That's why we go back on the main drawing map. We deselect everything except OpenStreetMap, like that. So we don't see anything except OpenStreetMap, but we stay in the same area. And again, we add a second map on the same process. We take this icon, add a new map, and we put the small map here, down there. You see, the big map has not been changed because we have locked it before. And now we have here OpenStreetMap only. Then we go to Overview, and we decided here, here, sorry. We go to Overview, we click on plus. We have the one overview of the map number 1. This is map number 2. The new one is map number 2, and map number 2 is the overview of the map number 1. Automatically, a small square will be generated, which is exactly this square here. So this map is this one. So if you zoom in, if you zoom out or you zoom in, automatically this small square will be adapted. So doing like that, we know where we have our ponds, which it is somewhere in the east of Syria. Again, here we have to lock also the map number 2 so that nothing will change on the layer and on the style. Okay, then here also we can change the frame and the background. You can again play around with the beautification. You can also make it in a different color. You can change just the style of the overview. Play around with that. So now we have added on our layout the map and the overview. And the overview automatically. Now let's add the scale bar. Scale bar automatically. First, you select the map from where you need the scale bar. In this case, map number 1, the big one, but you could even have one here if you want. And then you click on this icon and you just draw somewhere where you want to have your scale bar. And the scale bar will be automatically displayed. Be carefully, you will have the property of the scale bar here. This is, you select the scale bar, the property of the scale bar of the map number 1s. You have to choose the right unit, of course. And here below, you can change the size of the number, the color, and the position, and you name it. You can beautificate as well the scale bar. You can add a segment, you can delete segment. This depends on your taste. But important to note is that the scale bar is automatically generated, and that you can change the style of the scale bar. And always cross-check that you have chosen the right units, not kilometer and not yards, for example. Okay, now we have the map, the scale bar, the overview map, and let's create the north arrow. North arrow, it's a picture. Click on this item and browse. Just draw a place where you want your north arrow. Go on item properties, search directories, and here you will find many, let's say, north arrow. You choose the north arrow that you like most, and you just say OK. And then, of course, you can change the size and the location, the position, and everything. So we have now the north arrow. If for any reason you have changed inclination of your map, the north arrow will be as well automatically inclinated. But like I was telling you before, I advise you to keep always the north arrow showing to the up. Now we have the north arrow, and let's go to the legend. For the legend, it's this icon here, adds a new legend to the layout. You click, you draw a place where you want the legend, and this will appear. You see, it looks very bad. The thing is that the icons that are displayed here will automatically be displayed in the legend. If for some reason you change the style of the icons or the road or whatever, as well, the legend will be automatically changed, but it looks very bad because it will take all the layer that you have in your documents, independently if they are displayed or not. So why? Because here I have auto update. You have to uncheck the auto update, and then once the auto update is unchecked, you can start to modify manually your legend. Let's go back. Yes. When it is unchecked, you will have auto update unchecked. You will have activated this icon here. Here you can move up and down the layers. Here you can group the layers. Here you can add a layer or you can duplicate a layer. Here you can delete a layer on the legend only. And here you can even change the name of the layer. If, for example, the name that you have chosen for your layer is not clear, you just change it and you make it clear. And then doing like that, on the top, you can put the title of the legend. And again, you can change the size of the title, you can change the style of the title, or whatever you want. And then the legend would look much better. So I have put a title. I have put a group street lamps. I have the 2 types of street lamps. A groups of the road. I have 3 types of road and the ponds. Automatically generated. And believe me, if your map contains many elements, this automatic legend will help you to save a lot of time. And additionally, it will be very quick after a while to produce new maps, thematic maps. For example, the wash maps, it will be very easy to produce it because you have all the elements. Now, next point will be adding the title. We add the title with this icon here, the T here, adds new label to the layout. It's just text. We add the title, just you draw where you want the title, and you write here in this point the titles. Like I tell you, please put the name of your site, the administration of your sites, the country site, and if it's a thematic map, you write wash maps, for example, or drainage map, whatever. Again, for the title, you can change the font, the color, like a Word document. Okay, we have the title. Now, we can add the logo. Of course, you need to have somewhere in your computer the logo as a picture, for example. You click on this icon, picture icon, like for the north arrow. You draw the place where you want the logo, somewhere here, for example. Here, item properties, you browse to the location where you have saved your logo. And that's it, I have your logo. Fine, I have my logo. And now I still need other thing. Let's add the date. The date is exactly like the title. It can be included into the title, but can be somewhere else. Again, just add add new label somewhere and just write the title, Gaziantep, Turkey, where, when. Again, with the font, you change like you like. So you have the title. Now let's put some notes. Like I told you, notes, in my opinion, are very important, because when you create a size, a drawing alone will not help you a lot if you don't write how many refugees, how many tents, when it was started to build, what are the plans. So many bullet points that in a short moment, you will know a lot about the site. So the same way, you take this icon here, you put the location where you want the notes, you type the notes, for example, here, and you just type the notes here, copy paste as well, and that's it. And now you have it. Again, you can change the font, the color, and everything. My map is not nice. I know about the idea was not to do a nice map, but it was just to show you how you can create in few click a nice map on qGis. Once you have done your layout, we have, in this case, all this item on the layout. You can lock the items. You can activate or deactivate the items. Once you're happy with it, we have everything. You can export it, and you can export it as a PDF automatically on layout, export as a PDF, and then you can share your map to your colleagues. And that's it. And you open it, of course, you check it if you like it or not, and then you share it. I think that's all. Like usually, it's perfect, 1 hour perfect. Like usually, this webinar is going to be posted on YouTube. I will share the link to you as soon as it's ready, Arabic version and English version. This presentation as well will be in YouTube as a link. You can click on the link and download the presentation if you need to go step by step through the presentation. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any trouble or any additional question. The webinar in relation to qGis are not finished. Next week or in 2 weeks, we are going to have a second part of the webinar, a little bit more advanced. We are going to see maybe satellite image, how to work with satellite image. We are going to see how to work with raster file. And now, if there is any question, please raise your hand or ask directly the question by a microphone. I will be more than happy to answer this question.